Hello everyone, my name is Spencer Raley, Affairs Director of Research, and we just uncovered some troubling statistics from ICE last week. So many of the end-of-year figures that the Biden administration has yet to publicly release. And as expected, they were quite troubling. We found that there were only 55,000 reported deportations, which is down 70% from last year. And nearly half of those, more than half of those, in fact, occurred in the less than 4 months that President Trump was still in office. We also only had a report of 45,000 ICE arrests, which was down 56%, and again, most of which occurred under Trump, and more than 140,000 illegal aliens released onto our streets, more than 16,000 of which have criminal convictions or charges. So very, very troubling numbers across the board. And I have joining to talk about this is Tom Homan, who is the former acting director of ICE. So he knows more about this than anybody. And he's currently a senior fellow at the Immigration Reform Law Institute. So Tom, thanks for joining me today. And before we dive into this real quick, you know, you and I were having a conversation the other day, and you had noted that some of your contacts inside ICE have noted that there's quite a bit of funny business going on that is actually inflating these already troublingly low numbers. So could you shed a little bit of light on what is going on? How is the Biden administration fudging these numbers a little bit?
Well, first of all, I think my first concern is why hasn't the report been officially released? So what was leaked last week is just a small part of that report. I oversaw that report for almost a decade when I was at ICE headquarters. When I was head of ERO, the Law Enforcement Systems Analysis Group that puts this report together worked for me. And I can tell you, they had that data by the end of mid-end October at the latest. They had the data. So, you know, there's no reason for not to report the numbers other than it's probably going to be embarrassing for them, absolutely embarrassing. But I think inside the administration, they'll be proud of these numbers. But they're going to have to explain to the taxpayers why ICE says their mission has been abolished. ICE hasn't been abolished, but their mission clearly has, and the leaked numbers clearly show it. So I've talked to quite a few people at ICE that have since retired, telling me, you know, first of all, I can tell you, looking at these numbers based on, again, maybe reviewing the report for 10 years, I think a lot of these numbers are not accurate. I think I think they're accurate as been leaked. But when it comes right down to, are they meaningful numbers? I think there's a lot of games being played. For instance, you talk about 16,102 aliens being released with criminal convictions. I think it's going to be higher. I think they may have just underreported that. But the biggest thing they overreported. They're saying 143,355 immigration violators released in the country. I think the number is higher than that. Again, we'll see when it comes out. The number 45,680 lawbreakers arrested. These are immigration lawbreakers. 45,680. I believe that number is a combination of ICE arrests and border arrests. And let me explain to you why that happened. Because ERO sent a lot of people to the border. When the border is being searched, we sent detailed people down there to process them. When Border Patrol hands us unprocessed aliens to be processed, we process it in our database, which is called the Enforced Database. Border Patrol has what they call EGO. When we process all that, so Border Patrol makes an arrest, if they sent us to process, we process them. The way it's logged into our database, the Enforced Database, is going to appear as an ICE arrest. So when they come up with this number, 45,680 immigration lawbreakers arrested, I think that number is far less. Because most of these are not interior enforcement arrests, and that's why Senator Johnson and Senator Cruz needs to order that they break down this number, show us how many were actually border arrests and how many were ICE arrests in the interior. The interior arrests are going to be a lot lower than this 45,000. So again, they're trying to add to their numbers like they're busier than they really were, and they're arresting more people than they actually did. When you just process somebody, you didn't actually want to put hands on them. That's not an arrest. You just process them. I think that number is going to be the biggest fudge number we see.
Right, right. And that's really alarming because even if every single one of these figures were completely accurate, these are significant decreases, especially when you consider how many migrants are being released into our country, thousands every single day, not even counting the more than 600,000 illegal aliens that entered the country either as being released by CBP, or who have the thousands more who have come in every day as gotaways. So this is really alarming, and you said it. It just seems like President Biden is effectively abolishing ICE, even if he isn't officially doing it. Is that fair to say? And what can state governments and members of Congress do to make the Biden administration enforce the law, or is there anything that can be done?
Well, here's where the report's misleading. I already talked about the immigration lawbreakers, the non-criminal.
Right.
But ICE has got this number 16,102 criminals that have been released.
Mm-hmm.
These are people that ICE released, 16,000. It doesn't count the thousands and the tens of thousands released by the county jails because ICE didn't put a detainer on them. Because of new policies of the Biden administration, they're not allowed to put detainers on a lot of criminals. So this 16,000, that's just what ICE released, that they had in custody. Right. That's not going to count the tens of thousands in county jails all across this country, in Los Angeles County, up in San Francisco, Cook County, Chicago, Rikers Island, New York. All these places where ICE under the Trump administration had a presence, and we issued detainers to these facilities. They no longer issue detainers in many of these county jails across the country. So that number 16,000, it's a hell of a lot worse than 16,000. I would say that number is easily double or triple on who actually been released from county jails that ICE ignored and failed to drop the detainer on. So look, I think the Biden administration is clear on one thing. I think they've abolished the mission ICE. I think they came out, the secretary came out and says you need to reprioritize the ICE priorities to concentrate more on just the criminal public safety threats, national security threats. I think when the final report comes out, because what we don't see, how many arrests did ICE do? That part of the report didn't get leaked. I think when it all comes out, less criminals were arrested. Even though they said we're going to concentrate more on criminals, I think what we're going to see when the report comes out is less criminals were arrested under this new prioritization than were arrested in previous years, by far.
Absolutely. I think we can definitely bet on that. And yeah, so very troubling numbers, and definitely something that we're going to continue to stay on top of here at FAIR. Tom, I really appreciate you joining us to talk about this important topic. For everyone listening at home, appreciate you joining in. You can find out more about our report that we did on this and all the other great work we're doing at FAIR at www.fairus.org. And you can also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see y'all next time.